Oh, a time I was working with a team that was not functioning very efficiently. I would say that would be when I was working as a post-op surgery recovery nurse. There was a patient and she had on her eyes, and for the post-op recovery care, what she had to get was 2x2s soaked in iced water and put on her eyes every 15 minutes and then rotated every 15 minutes. And in this role, it was the CNA's job to be doing this while I provided the medications and did the documentation, etc. And so I went into the patient's room and she seemed a bit unhappy. And I started talking to her, and she told me that she was unhappy because the CNA was not coming in and rotating the 2x2s on her eyes. And she was really concerned that it was going to affect her healing. And I didn't even know this was happening. And so I apologized to her and told her that it was getting done. And so what I did is I went outside and found the CNA, and I realized that our team was really not working collaboratively at all, and that we were really missing a key communication point. And so I asked her what was happening with the 2x2s, and I just really not like nicely and non-confrontationally asked her like if she knew she was supposed to be doing it, and like who she thought was doing it. And she said that she thought the other CNA was doing it. And so I then said, okay, let's go grab the other CNA. So I brought us all together and I explained the situation again to all three of us. And the other CNA said that she thought I was doing it. And so after talking with them and just kind of clarifying our roles, we all came to a better understanding of who was going to do what. And I, again, was just going to do the medications and the documentation and what I was supposed to do in that role. And then the first CNA said she was going to take on the task of rotating the 2x2s. And she apologized for the miscommunication. I also apologized to everyone for just the miscommunication. And at the end of the day, we all came to a resolve. And I'm really glad that we all talked it out and just came to terms with it.
That would also be your answer for if they ask you, can you tell me about a time when you communicated something that was not received? Or can you tell me about a time when you had to give constructive feedback to a coworker? Any of that stuff.
Okay, that would work.
Yeah. If you find these videos helpful and you want to grab your own list of nursing interview questions, over the years I've collected every question that any new grad has told me they've been asked in their new grad nursing interview, and I've compiled it into a 22-page, 72-question PDF that you can download. It's $5, but with your discount code, you can get it for $3. So your discount code will be just YouTube. So I'll put the link in the description below. Go ahead and check that out if that's something that you think would be helpful. The idea is hopefully you'll encounter any questions that they're likely to ask you to help minimize any surprises during your actual interview. Can you please tell me about a time when you were on a team that was not functioning correctly?
I don't know if I have like a work situation, but I do have like I was in an a cappella group in college, and I was on board for 4 years, and my last year I was president. So it was something that I was heavily involved in, and I loved it. I love to sing. It's been a hobby of mine like as long as I could remember. But I remember when I was when I was a sophomore, we had a lot of older members leave, and we took in a lot of new members. So in the beginning it was a little bit awkward, especially with the different voices and the different personalities. We really had to learn how to work as this new group, especially because the year before that our group was solid. Besides me, there was only one other new member. So it wasn't like they were adding in, a lot of new members. But with this, our group was totally changed. So as the year went on and as the board gained more confidence, we kind of had a better direction of what the group should look like. We were able to better work as a team and realize that at the end of the day, like even if there's drama or people are upset, we're here to sing together. That's the point of us being in this group. So I don't know if that's all right. I just kind of came up with that example.
It's got potential. So what you've got to
Okay.
do is you've got to bridge it to something that's useful in nursing. So like I would avoid using the word like drama. I'd avoid, because
Uh,
it kind of sounded like you're like, it doesn't matter if we don't like each other. We're here to do a job.
oh,
Um, which I think sounds a little, I don't know. I feel like instead of that part, you could say, like, what do we want to say that it taught you that you use in nursing? Like you learned um, what a difference it can make, like when you really establish a flow of like what clear expectations are so that everyone can do their part,
mm,
which makes everything flow. Like I'm just thinking like a code blue, right? You have like your
mm,
RT knows like their job is to help with the bagging, and then like the recorder
mm,
knows like it's their job is to stand there and like record everything that's happening. You know what I mean? Like I'm kind of trying to picture bridging you to that kind of thing.
yeah. Hmm.
Um, you can
I
totally use like the acapella thing is it's cool because it's different. Um,
mhm.
we just have to like make it like relevant to something that makes you a better nurse.
Yeah. I just remember this other situation that I
Okay.
had at work. Um, so I had a situation where since as a tech in the ICU, my one of my roles was to also be a part of the hospital code team. So anytime that there was a code, no matter what floor it was on, I had to go and do compressions. So we had
Why have we not talked about this yet? Oh my God.
yeah, I wasn't sure where I should like put this in because I have like other examples, but I remember we had a code on a med surge floor that I went to, and it was kind of a mess. Like the leads weren't on right. The primary nurse for the patient wasn't in the room. It was just really disorganized, and there were a lot of people in the room that probably shouldn't have been. And when people would ask for supplies outside, like to the runner, there wasn't really a runner. No one was really going in and out of the room to get the supplies, which was really frustrating. Like at one point, while I was waiting for my next, well, it wasn't. There was like three of us switching off to do compression, so while right after I was done, I went out to grab the suction tubing because they were asking for that for a while and I was getting frustrated. So I went in, grabbed that, and then came back into the room. But we like debriefed after. Our nursing educator just kind of talked about it, like talked about what we could have done better, talking about, she brought up like how the lead in the right place. And I realized like in order for, every little thing, even if, well, not little, but like every part of a code is super important and can really make or break your patient. And, it's really important to have that teamwork and to have that flow of communication no matter what floor you're on, even if you're not used to having codes on your floor. I think that's really important for every unit to have that flow of communication, being able to handle a crisis situation like this.
Yeah. Um, what other stories do you have related to you being on this? Because I didn't even think, did I see this on your resume? I didn't understand that you had
Oh,
this opportunity.
I think like under the ICU, I think it was like the first bullet I said that I was like facilitated codes. But I guess I probably should have said that I was actually a part of the code team since I was there, like actually doing compressions
Yeah,
every time there was a code.
that's super cool. So what other stories can you tell that would let you like brag about that? Because like just exposure to
Mm-hmm.
codes is huge.
Hmm. Let me see. Yeah. Like successful codes that we've had. There was another code that I went to on where was it? There was a lot actually. There was a lot of codes. So I'm just trying to think which one was the
Because
most
I
what.
really doubt like the people that you're up against will have that, right?
Mm-hmm. 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 Oh, so we had a situation one shift, and it's like the nurses like even months after they talked about this one shift because it was crazy. We had four codes in the hospital that day, and two of them happened at like the same time. So it was probably like one of the busiest shifts I'd ever had. Like I remember we were doing compressions on one patient, and then another patient on the opposite side of the hallway also was coding. So it was a lot, just trying to figure out, which rooms I had to go to, making sure that all of the patients were getting, proper compressions, that there were people in the room doing CPR for them, that every patient was, all the different code teams were fully staffed. And because we had to transfer all those patients to our ICU, I had to run back and forth from the med-surg unit to our ICU to just grab the monitors, grab the A line, because they had to put in an A line for one of the patients. Trying to see. Sorry, I remember the story because there was a lot, and this was a little bit ago.
Can you tell me about like one specific code where like there was something that you did that kind of like helped make sure that patient made it? Even if it was like you went to grab something or you recognized something that like a gap that needed to be filled in like the flow of things, or like
Gap that need to be filled.
Like noticing that, what were you saying? There was something that was bugging you, like no suction tubing?
Yeah,
I kind of want to picture like
say,
like what was wrong with the patient and how like you doing that thing like changed the trajectory. Like, can you like something like that?
I think this patient, I can't remember what brought him into the hospital, but the reason why he coded was because he had choked. So that's why it was really important that we had the suction in the room.
And
so
then
that's
like, did
why
this guy make it?
Huh?
Did I make it?
So he made it. He made it. It was a long code though. Like we were in the room for maybe like 40 minutes. It was a while. But I just remember that shift, like our nursing educator, when I was doing compressions, like she like was giving everyone feedback, and she told me like, good compressions, good job. And I just felt really proud, and just knowing that I was able to help this patient, and also just kind of be able to help the med-surg floor staff, because I feel like they aren't as used to codes happening on their floor. So they were a little bit like, I don't know, they didn't really know how to handle the situation. So I kind of had to take on that role of being a runner and going out to grab supplies while also performing PR.
I have something for all of you that I'm very excited to finally tell you about. It's something that I've been working on for over a year. And this is great for nursing students who are just starting out. This is also great for the person who has an interview in a few days and is trying to put all of the pieces together so that they can be organized and confident going into their interview. And it is my solution to what I hear from all of these nurses that you see in these videos. They all tell me, I know something like that happened, but I can't remember it now and I wish I'd written it down. I know a lot of clinical instructors and nursing professors encourage people to write down their clinical experiences so that you can remember them later, especially when you're in front of a hiring manager interviewing for your dream job and it's something that happened, months or even years ago, and you want to be able to articulate it well. It can be so valuable to have everything written down. So I've made it's a hybrid between a clinical journal so that you can save all of your memories from clinicals, but it's also divided up by question. So for example, let's say you had your first rapid response that day, you would flip to the question section that says, tell me about your most critical patient. Write down everything that you can remember, while you're waiting for post-conference or whatever it is, whenever you have a few minutes. And then when you finally get that call out of nowhere asking if you would be open to coming in for an interview for your dream job that's in 2 days, you have everything organized. And then it's also a nice thing to have looking back, remembering all your first patients and the first time that you did all these different skills that you're learning. So I have tried to make it all cute and aesthetic for you guys. It also includes why they ask certain questions, what they're looking for, do's and don'ts for answering questions, and then it has clickable QR codes so that you can watch examples of how other people have put their answers together who've been successful in getting the job that they wanted through their interview style. So it is about 250 pages. It's also meant to be sort of a how-to DIY version of the online one-on-one coaching for situations where you may not necessarily want to hire a coach for your answers. It is a fillable PDF. It also has other sections like, frequently asked questions, things like what should I wear? What do I do if I'm nervous? What should I put in my portfolio? I could talk on and on about this thing. I've worked on this, like I said, for over a year. I'm really excited about it. It's finally available. I do have a discount code for supporters of the channel, currently for 50% off if you use your discount code.